everyone, welcome back to the LaceUp channel. My name is Mickey. In today's video, I'm going to tell you why your distribution business is not making a profit. Let's say you're generating $2, $5, $10 million a year in top line revenue, and when you look at your EBITDA, your take home isn't even enough to cover the bills. It's the most frustrating thing in the world. How could you get yourself involved in a business so complex with so many problems and you're not getting rewarded for your labor? Well, in this video, I'm going to walk you through the different things that could be happening in your business, making your business not as profitable as it should be. So let's get right into it. Point number one, you're worried about top line revenue. When you brag to your buddies, I make 5 million, 10 million, 50 million a year in top line revenue. Well, that sounds great, but we both know that all that matters, it's what's reflected on that bottom number. What is your EBITDA? Your EBITDA is the most important metric you should be looking at because the growth of your EBITDA determines the valuation and the multiple someone else is willing to pay for your business. And the funny thing is, you're worried about this top line sales number and you haven't addressed the issues, the underlying issues causing your business to not be profitable. But you're like, Mickey, I generate a bunch of revenue, but my business is a distribution business. It operates on razor thin margins. Well, this is why you need to be more careful. This is why you need to be more focused on sales, on expanding your product line, on getting into private labeling or manufacturing, on expanding your business into different segments that can provide higher profit margins. So worry about your EBITDA and not your top line revenue. So now that we know what to worry about, I think the first thing you need to address are your high operating costs. Now, if your P&L is anything like mine, you open and you see that the biggest expense almost always is payroll. Payroll is the elephant in the room. The first thing I ask you is to please take a look at how much you account for in that payroll. Now, if you're anything like me, the owner of a business should account for a very small portion. There should be multiple people in the business making more money than the owner. That's just how it is. You want to employ people to do tasks to make your business more productive, to grow your business, and inevitably you pull a higher EBITDA. So now that you know, high operating costs, what do I look at when looking at my payroll expense descending from the highest paid employee to the lowest paid employee? Well, I look at what do they do? What are their roles? What are their responsibilities? And why are they justifying the salary that I'm paying them? My rule of thumb is, if an employee doesn't generate 3 times the amount that they cost me, then they're not doing enough to justify their salary. And that's how you need to look at it. You need to look at your business like a system with cogs, with gears, and those gears rotate to generate a profit. And if you've got a gear that's oddly shapen, causing the cog to clog up, well, I can tell you that's the main cause of your problem, but you're probably afraid to address the fact that your employees are the primary problem, that they're not producing enough, that they're not doing their job, and you're paying 6, 7, 8, 10,000 a month for them. Well, what I've done is 2 things. Number one, I identify those that are overpaid relative to the tasks that they're executing or what their production is, and then I simply replace them. I try to find somebody better than them at a lower price. And most distributors are mom and pops. You probably have your cousin, your brother, your nephew working there, and you're overpaying them. But I can tell you this, if you're worried about the future potential of your net worth and how you're going to retire and perhaps take this company to a potential sale, those things need to go out the window, and this needs to become a business. So apart from employee costs, you could have high system costs. I can't tell you how many customers I talk to, they're like, oh, I need a WMS for $5,000 a month to solve all my problems. Well, I can tell you, if you're worried about that, long before making a profit, herein lies the problem. Look at your systems, look at what you're paying, look at how you can replace them with systems that could be cheaper and perhaps do a better job. Now, as systems become more developed over the years, there's economies of scale, costs drop, the cost of development drop, and the cost of maintenance drop. So there's always an opportunity to ask for a discount. But not just that. We haven't even touched upon all the other expenses, but only you know what those are. And I think you should go down the list. If it doesn't produce, if it doesn't make a profit, cut it, replace it, and try again. Point number 3, inefficient inventory management, a problem that plagues almost every single one of my customers. They're either overstocking product or they're understocking product. And I'm going to tell you the consequence of both of those things. If you're overstocking product, you're keeping too much product, and if your product is perishable, inevitably it perishes and you lose an entire pallet of an item that's expensive. And the shame of losing that item or losing that pallet or having it go bad is the fact that it reflects directly in your bottom line. You paid your vendor for the product, it never sold, it never generated a profit on those cases, and now all they're doing is directly going against your pocket. It's that simple. If you're overstocking, it's costing you thousands, but you're like, Mickey, how do I determine if I'm overstocking? Well, you just need to look at your expirations. You need to look at the adjustments that you're keying into your ERP or accounting system and see how large those adjustments are and what is the cause of those adjustments. And that's going to tell you exactly what you're overstocking. But not just that. I believe that the true issue for most distributors is understocking. So all distributors have vendors have lead times, and your warehouse has some kind of velocity of how much product rotates out the warehouse on a given day. You should know exactly what these are, because if you don't have enough product and that product oversells, well, you can't pick it, you can't fulfill it, which means the customer doesn't get it and they don't pay you, which means you're losing out on sales. And for every $100, if you're operating on a 10% profit margin, you're losing $10, and you're losing probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. So worry about product velocity, worry about vendor lead times, and worry about setting yourself a minimum reorder point. When my inventory hits this point, I'm going to put in a purchase order to ensure that I always have enough supply to satisfy my demand. Point number 4, pricing strategy. What is your pricing? Are you pricing your goods too low and not capitalizing on a market that is willing to pay more, thus putting more money in your pocket? Or maybe your prices are too high and your competitors are cannibalizing your entire market, taking your customers away and eating your lunch. Well, this is one of the hardest things there is to establish, which is pricing. How do you establish your pricing? I've seen customers that will sell a low profit margin item almost at cost so that they can maximize the sale of other product lines, of other goods, of other whatever they offer. And the thing is, your pricing strategy needs to be in a structured way so that you sell the most of your high profit margin items. And I was really thinking about how would I go about establishing my pricing model? Well, I would do a secret shopper-like approach. I'd hit up my competitors pretending to be a store, pretending to be a C-store, and be like, hey, you know, I'm looking for this product. What are your prices? What are your prices at different volumes? I would call and do the market research. And fortunately for us, we live in 2023. There's plenty of systems out there that will do competitive price analysis of your prices versus your competitors in your area. So I looked up on Google. I'm not gonna say I sponsor these people or I recommend them, but a couple that I found were Price2Spy and Competera. That's the name. I opened it up, and basically the price analysis tools that show you what the pricing should be for a respective item in your respective market. So do some market analysis, become a secret shopper, and add the tools to your business so you can properly price your items. Point number 5, you have an inefficient marketing strategy. You're like, oh, Mickey, I don't need marketing. Then my stuff's all B2B, it's all local, and I get my customers through referrals. Well, that's a very valid way of growing your business, but in 2023, as the new generation takes over the companies from their dads, or the new generation starts launching their own businesses, you need to realize that every business owner in this world is on social. They're on YouTube, they're on LinkedIn, they're on Facebook, and you need to have a presence of some kind to let them know that your service exists in the area. Now, not just social is important, more important than focusing on social is the content that you curate and that you create and post to social. Creating content has been the largest driving force behind the growth of my business. Making these videos, talking to you through the camera, providing as much value as I can has made me a name in the warehouse management space, which means that people contact me as if they know me, and the barrier to sale, to make a relationship with a customer, becomes exponentially smaller. And that's super important. Having a presence, having people know who you are, even if you're a niche that's in a certain area, is extremely important. And let's not even talk about paid advertising. Everybody that needs a frozen food distributor is typing that shit into Google. They're going into Google going frozen food distributor, and your name's not popping up because you don't have an AdWords strategy, which is the easiest thing in the world to set up. So if your marketing strategy sucks, do some work in establishing content creation and do some work in establishing a paid campaign. Now, a paid campaign will always generate leads much faster than a content strategy, but if you play out the content strategy for 5 or 10 years, that will disproportionately return way more money than paid. The final point is your desire. This is the most important point of all. Do you have the desire to actually make your business profitable? Or are you just on cruise control, taking a salary, letting your business basically not make any profit or go negative at the end of the year? Like, what do you want to accomplish? I put it this way, if you don't want to be there, then you need to make it profitable enough to sell it. You need to show that there is growth. You need to show that you're headed into the right direction in order for anyone, whether it be a private equity group or a competitor, to buy you out. So I think that you have to develop a desire to constantly innovate, to create new things, maybe manufacture, private label, whatever those new things are. Like, I know unequivocally that somebody who manufactures their own goods is exponentially more profitable than somebody who just distributes. But let's say you don't want to get into the manufacturing game, you don't want to deal with the headache, you don't want to have to innovate, well then you need to expand your product lines. And the funny thing is, it's like the chicken or the egg problem. If you expand your product lines, you need more warehouse space, hence you increase the expenses for your warehouse overhead, right? So where do you start? Where do you start with your desire? Well, I would really analyze what products are moving well in your business, and I would capitalize on focusing my attention on those. There's going to be 20% of products that account for 80% of your profit, and you need to expand those product lines in order to offer more of the same thing to your customers. When I say the same thing, I don't mean the same product, but different flavors, things that are related or correlated, and really study your customers. Really study what you're moving at each customer, what types of products, what categories, what niches, and instruct your sales reps to pitch more products along the same line. And I think desire encompasses a lot of problems with a business, because I've found myself in situations where I don't want to sell, I don't want to train sales reps, I don't even want to push sales reps. Not only that, but I don't feel like innovating, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm done with this. I'm done with all the issues and the headaches. But remember, you've got to go to work either way. And as long as you have your health, the best thing that you can do is implement these different strategies and do your best to try to grow. And the funny thing is, just shifting your desire, shifting your focus, and maybe even setting a large goal will completely create this paradigm shift in your head, which in the course of 60 to 90 days will change how you act in your business and will start reflecting in your bottom line. I've seen this. I've seen the points in which I'm disconnected, and when I'm disconnected, my profits suffer. But when I'm connected and when I'm committed and when I've realized that all of these things, they have an end game. There is light at the end of the tunnel inevitably. Why don't you just dedicate your creativity and your desire to the things you're doing in the office when you're there to grow the business, to hit a goal, to hit a target? The moment you do this, the profits disproportionately shift in your favor. It's like a probability curve. The more you play the game, the more strategies you implement, the more things you try, the more your business grows. Now, don't make the excuse, Mickey, my business is dead. I saw a product no one wants. Again, you can relate all of this to your desire. You haven't found how you're going to be able to capitalize. You haven't found the niche. You haven't found the strategy. So you need to go to work until the day you go bankrupt and figure it out. Don't just sit there having your business burn profits, having your business not be worth anything to anyone that could acquire it, because you've got this sense that you're just done with it. Anyways, guys, I don't want to digress too much. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you did, and you have any questions in detail about the strategies that I've offered in this video, I know I touch on these points very generally, and I would love to go into detail. Just hit me down in the comments. Give me any questions you have, any concerns, anything you disagree with. I'd love to address it, but these are the things that have worked for me, even though I'm in a different industry. I believe that every business is very similar in its root, and that is you want to make a profit. Anyways, guys, go down below, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next video. Take care.